We're here with another episode of the Past the 40 podcast. Today, my guest is Binu Paulose. What's up, Binu?
Hey, what's going on, man?
How you doing today?
Pretty good, yeah.
Are you excited to be on the Past the 40 podcast?
I was a little nervous because just because I was I've listened to a number of the episodes, so I was just trying to get a good feel and idea on what the tone was going to be like on here. But I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm ready. So
Well, now that you're
yeah.
now that you're 40, you can make these type of decisions and just feel confident in yourself. And I'll tell you, you're not the first to be nervous. Like many people come on here and they tell me in advance that like I'm nervous to start this thing, and like within a few questions, they're just totally at ease. Normal conversation between two old friends. Who's even listening?
Yeah.
Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from home. I'm at my house here in Mill Neck, which is just a small town right next to Oyster Bay. So yeah, just but in a way, like I almost feel like I just end up rather just say like I'm in Oyster Bay, but because I don't think Mill Neck is as well known a town the way Oyster Bay is.
Sure.
So yeah, like literally like I'm like a mile from my house. There's this giant statue of Teddy Roosevelt in his Rough Rider uniform and horse. So yeah. So I'm like I might as well just say Oyster Bay.
I know it well because I grew up not too far from there, so I'm very familiar with the town of Oyster Bay. In fact,
Right.
I think my address, like I lived in the quote unquote town of Oyster Bay.
Town of Oyster
Right.
Bay. Yeah.
That takes up a lot of space. Are you ready for your 40 questions?
I am ready.
Let's do it. So you mentioned in your five facts that you love a good gooey skillet of mac and cheese. So what is your go-to mac and cheese recipe?
Oh man. So lately I've actually been finding for the last few years I've been finding like I would always kind of add more and more cheese, and just like almost like every Thanksgiving just add 4 or 5 different cheeses. But then this past year I just thought I would just keep it super simple, and just have cheddar, a sharp cheddar, and then Gruyere. Like I usually start with like the basic roux, and make a bechamel for it, and then with like cheddar and Gruyere, and then adding more sharp cheddar. I just kind of keep doing that. But yeah, I kind of just try to keep it simple on there. What I actually try to do is, and this might sound like heresy, but I try not to add too many perks in there. Like, in other words, like I try to avoid adding bacon or beef or any sausage or anything like that. Nothing against bacon. I love bacon. But I feel like if you can make a really good mac and cheese without having to add all those other things to it, I think you are totally on the right track. Like I find like when you go to bars or any other places, like most places when they add bacon to it, it kind of masks just like how undercooked or poorly done it is.
Yeah, I don't want bacon in my mac and cheese at all. I totally agree with you. But breadcrumbs. Do we do any breadcrumbs?
I will do breadcrumbs.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll either sometimes I'll either do panko and fry that, or if I'm in a bind, worst case, I may just stick with the 4C. But I'll definitely put that on there, and just make sure like that gets really nice crusty brown on there. So yeah.
Do you still do any improv?
I haven't lately. I sort of took a break from improv. I was doing it up until maybe I would say like about a couple years ago, and then I just wanted to take a break on there, just to relax and chill a little bit. I think right about the time when I was doing that, I got a lot busier more on the coaching side with running, and then that just really picked up. And then next thing I know, more and more as that started happening, I think more and more coaching opportunities opened up, and then I just became way busier with that. No, I mean, I think when I was doing improv, it was definitely like something I definitely really enjoyed. There were times I think it would probably I would at its worst, I would probably get a little too in my head or get very critical of myself. Even though there may have been some pretty good shows out of that, but even then, it's just you never can get over yourself and like thinking to yourself like, oh, I should have done this move, I should have done that, and yet like other people come up to you saying like, hey, that was really funny, and you're just like, whatever. So yeah, but no, it was a lot of fun when I did it, like for several years. So yeah,
it's an incredible skill. Just I've always been impressed with like whose line is it anyway, or freestyle rapping, just the ability to, open up the mind and just like kind of let it speak without really having any time to process what you're about to no time to
yeah.
process between the brain and the mouth, which is like incredible.
Yeah, no, it's always been like the thing where like when you have like an amazing show where like it just like sticks with you, and like that infectiousness, that feeling that you have, like it's just like infecting your brain. You're just feeling like you're feeling like you're on fire, you're on top of the world, and you're just you feel like, oh man, I got to do this again, like, and you're just and you're just riding that wave. So, but yeah, it's a hell of a thing though. So I think that's what probably got me so hooked on it.
What are you most excited about right now?
Oh man, I was thinking about this, but I remember like when I was up until like last week, actually right about now, I'm thinking about this trip I'm going to be making over the summer to Portland. I'm actually running my next marathon about an hour outside of Portland, an hour and a half, I think, actually, like in Mount Hood, which is like super hilly, but like it starts at the top of Mount Hood and then goes downhill. It's like a 4,000-foot drop for this marathon. But I'm already like looking to try to plan my week, probably like a week or so out in Portland and hang out and see the city. So I've already been like kind of like reading up about it, and I think while I was doing that, there was this Netflix documentary, not in Portland, but it was like a small town outside of it, called Wild Wild Country. That was about that cult.
Yeah.
And then that just really upped my fascination.
Did you watch it?
There. What's up?
Did you watch that doc
I
yet?
did. I was just like so hooked on it. I think like by that first episode, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is insane!" Like how that whole thing could happen.
I didn't see it yet, but a friend like last week, wrote about it on Facebook, and it caught my attention immediately, and I have to get to that shortly. It seems incredible.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something like if you've got. I mean, it's a 6-part series. Each episode's about just over an hour. If you have I'd say if you have a weekend to yourself where you're willing to binge on something, yeah, this is definitely totally binge worthy. So yeah.
When you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I never really had any kind of aspiration on a career necessarily when I was much younger. I just remember that for a long time, all I think I really wanted to do was just make my parents happy. So really, it never really was necessarily like trying to find like this specific vocation or anything like that. That said, like, I mean, if my parents like, if my parents wanted me to join the priesthood, I would have been just like right in that. But you never like, yeah, I was just so like. At that point, I was just like, all right, whatever they want me to do, I'll do it. Yeah, but I think like, I think at that point though, they were just like telling me to like make sure like, do well in school and like focus on your studies and then see what comes out of that. But if anything for me, I like remember like early on, like I'd say like in junior high, I started really getting into like finding I was like kind of a math geek and just kind of just getting into that and liking computers. And then I thought, okay, I guess I could probably do something with math and computers. So I kind of harnessed that a lot more in high school and took more math classes, some AP classes and computer science classes. Then when I got to college, I thought that was still the plan. And then like, I would say like a year and a half in, I was just like, oh yeah, no. Like I remember just like starting to get burned out already. And I'm like, I'm not doing this. So, yeah. And I don't know, it just took me a while to like kind of like figure that all out. While all that was happening, I think like I just started taking a film class, and then another, and then another, and just kind of like nerding out on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then just kind of like goofed around for a while. So, so like really, I kind of going back to your question. It never really had anything set on there. So, but I think like ultimately, like I think my parents were just like after a while, kind of just wanting me to like find something. They're just like, all right, there's like just settle on something here, right? So,
right. So I was gonna say, have you made them happy? If that was the initial goal.
Even as like right now, where I'm like,
Still trying.
I have like this. I work pretty regularly with New York Roadrunners as an assistant manager at the Run Center, where I'm like basically just overseeing everything, their activities and whatnot, and still coaching a lot of running classes. So I'm I already have a pretty busy schedule, and yet even then they're just like, have you found something else yet? So. Yeah, so it's like, hey, there's this like great engineering job on here. Like
right.
you get a great pension out of this. It's like, no.
Sounds very parental.
Yeah, yeah. So their fears for me haven't gone away yet. So yeah, I've just come to expect that.
Let's say you were taking a road trip from I don't know, Oyster Bay to Portland for a marathon or something like that. Let's say, and you have to bring 3 people with you, and it can't be family members. Who would be in the car?
Okay, I would say first off, my running friends here. My friend Melanie, who it's funny, like we pretty much like talk and text. And another my friend of mine, Ann. Melanie and Ann and I, we've known each other for a few years, from when we worked at a running store. And I think we text each other like nonstop. Sometimes I'll be stuck at work, and then like I'll go to my phone and I'll see like 80 texts. And I'm just like, guys, I'm like, I can't right now. So, but, and then I try to play catch up, but, so them, and then, another friend of mine, Liz, I think like mainly because like, I think I think in the last few months, I found myself like, when I was training for my last marathon, we would do these long runs, in the winter where I was so dreading going out running in the cold. But we decided to make it fun by doing these long runs and finishing at a destination. So in these cases, we'd finish it at a brewery. We'd start at one place and then just go make a one-way run all the way down. And then just like hang out at this brewery for several hours on end. And then just like call a lift and and get back. So yeah.
Have you heard about these races where it's like a ridiculous length, and it's like a team in a car, and one person gets out and runs, and the car follows until they stop, and then somebody else gets out? You know any idea what I'm talking about? Because like
Ragnar.
That could be a combination of your running crew also on the road trip, all simultaneously happening.
Yeah, no, it's called that's called Ragnar. So like they have like the Ragnar relays. They have like a bunch of those all around like around the country in different cities. I really that's kind of that's kind of another goal of mine at some point, to try to find like a Ragnar team. It's always tough to try to get those teams together just because like you never like the hope is like no one gets hurt like going in or anything like that, and then making sure you have like 8 to 10 people I think to be that are going to be able to comfortably run like I'd say like 10 to like maybe no more than 20 miles total. But you're like doing all these miles, and while the rest of your teammates are in this van sleeping or just trying to make sure they're like stretching, and then like as soon as they're done, next person out. So yeah, it's just like but just getting into that. So I came pretty close to being on a team. I think like last minute a few years ago, a friend on this team got hurt, and they were looking for somebody and they were about to start like in 2 days, and they offered it to me, and I was so ready to do it, but then like I didn't want to, but I was already coaching a class that morning, so I didn't want to bail on that.
Right.
So, but in hindsight, it would have been the most freaking amazing thing imaginable. So yeah.
But you want to do it with Melanie and Liz, and you want your crew involved.
Big time, yeah, absolutely, yeah. To like have them all there. It'd be insane having us in a van together, though. So,
Who's your favorite WWE wrestler of all time?
oh man, when I was young, I mean Hulk Hogan was my guy. Yeah, I mean it's hard not to like look up to that guy. At when you're young, and then so like and then like later on, I think since then, I think my favorite WWE guy is this guy named Daniel Bryan. He's this like much shorter guy, but he's this incredible underdog. Like he's an amazing like technical wrestler that has this huge wonderful beard and just is so genuine like in what he says and does. Like everyone loves him. Like you can't help but love this guy. Like because and he'll even tell you like for a long time he actually knew what he wanted to do, and that was wrestle. And then it was like 4 years ago he actually got to main event WrestleMania 30 and won, and it was the most amazing thing imaginable. And I, as a grown man, I was in this bar in Chicago called the Squared Circle, a wrestling theme bar. I was in Chicago for the Chicago Improv Festival.
Right.
But then I hung around for another day just because I knew WrestleMania was there.
Yeah,
so
you had to get a front row seat at the Squared Circle.
Yeah,
of
totally.
Course.
So I hung around at the bar at the Squared Circle bar, and my friend and I were all there. We were just watching, this whole thing happen, and just the improbable. There's the 7-month long storyline of Daniel Bryan being held back. By the authority because they felt like in storyline and in real life they thought he was too small because they prefer the big
Sure.
muscular guys. They they're John Cena looking guys.
Sure.
So yeah, but then there was this huge fan backlash, a legit fan backlash that they're all doing with this whole chant called the whole yes chant where it started to pick up where everyone's chanting yes, yes, yes. Which he started
right.
2 years prior, and it kind of just picked up in groundswell, and then finally it just reached this peak in New Orleans at WrestleMania, and oh my God, I'm not ashamed to say this, I cried in this bar, when you finally won. I'm just tears streaming down my face just because you're so hooked on this amazing story on there, and it's funny I even followed this guy even before he got to WWE, seeing him on the independents and everything, and watching him develop this ability. So to and it was amazing that he even made it to the big leagues because no one ever thought he would have just because smaller guy. And yet here he is, 70,000 people, this small guy, vegan, and everyone's going nuts for him, and it was and confetti streaming, and you're just oh man, wrestling's the best.
I used to love it. I used to love it growing up, and I assume that my young sons will be into it in the next 5 years, and I'm looking forward to that, for them getting me back into it. What is something that's hanging on the wall in your home?
Oh man, I don't have any posters. I have literally the simplest thing right now. I have these 2 computer printed signs. One is this Neil Gaiman quote. The quote is, and I'll read it off on here. May your coming year be filled with magic and dreams and good madness. I hope you read some fine books and kiss someone who thinks you're wonderful, and don't forget to make some art. Write or draw or build or sing or live as only as you can. And I hope somewhere in the next year you surprise yourself. So I have that.
Is that possibly from one of his commencement addresses?
I think so. Yeah. That was one of his commencement addresses. The other thing I have printed is just one simple word: breathe. Yeah.
It's an important word.
Yeah. Literally, that's pretty much it. I'll when I wake up, I'll see that when I wake up. So just to remind myself that. So before I step out of my room.
For sure.
Yeah.
What 3 words would your best friend use to describe you?
I would say caring, um, silly. Uh, uh, let's see. She would probably describe me. She would probably say super. Only me, which I don't know if that's the truth, but like she sends this to. I think because she sees me doing things that may that I guess I'm just I probably do normally or regularly. But she'll like say like super boo or like, and I'm just like, all right.
All right, Super Boo. If you had to, if you had to live somewhere outside of North America permanently, where would you choose?
Outside of North America, oh wow. Um, I wouldn't mind, man. I wouldn't mind being in either Reykjavik, uh, or Amsterdam. Um, yeah, I feel like I think at some point I think I've only heard nothing but amazing uh, times of I guess of experiences in Reykjavik.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I think like Amsterdam, and same thing with Amsterdam. But I think like but I almost feel like if that was going to be it outside of North America, yeah, I would say that. So
Very cool.
yeah.
What's the worst job you've ever had?
Oh yeah. So um, almost it was 10 years ago. I was temping for this in Long Island for this commercial kitchen repair company, and I had this boss who would just hand me like these assignments, basically just like with these assignments, I would be asked to call the next available repair person, tell him like, hey, we need you to go to this location on here. She would just tell every time she would give me this assignment, she would say like, this needed to be done yesterday. And so like, but like I would hear this constantly, like, oh yeah, this was due yesterday. This was due yesterday, and like, and it was just like kind of very infuriating hearing that. It was just like, I'm like, oh my god, like usually you're used to hearing jobs saying like this is due in 2 days, or like this is due in a few weeks. No, this is done. This was due yesterday. Like what the freak? Like what the hell was that? It was just like it was nuts. It was just like it just over a while like the pressure on this got so intense. It was just like ridiculous as hell. And then on top of that, like I had my own regular cell phone, but then they gave me a work cell phone, so I had two phones, which was just really weird. Mainly so I could like call the other, I guess, drivers to go on to make sure they were getting their assignment, even though like we have an office phone. I don't know why they're giving me this work cell. It just made no sense. And I remember like with these weird interactions where I would like call like I guess other companies for like part numbers and put orders in for that. I had this one interaction with this one woman for a parts company that just wanted to talk with me for like hours on end. And then afterwards she'd be like, so what's your personal cell? I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. It's got really weird. So, at that point, I was just like, yeah. I think it reached a point where finally, there was one night. I think there was like this show at the Magnet Theater. It wasn't. It was something I was performing at. I was just going to go see shows. But like after the show, they were gonna have this huge party, and they had like kegs of beer after. So, and it was like on a weeknight. It was like on a Wednesday night. So yeah, you would think that you should take it easy because it's a school night.
Mm-hmm.
No, that didn't stop me. I think I was just so pissed off, so agitated and tired. I just like went nuts. Just drank myself like insanely that I pretty much like passed out, woke up, was like falling asleep on the subways, and eventually got back to made it back to Forest Hills, sober, totally fine, but it was like still like early in the morning. I want to say it was like 7 a.m. in the morning when I finally got back.
Nice work.
And it was, I mean, heck of a night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was still like wearing the same clothing from work, like the night, like the previous day. I had not changed. I think I just looked very untucked. like my tie is undone and everything. I just completely, without even hesitating, decided I would drive to work. And I drove to work, got to the office, I took my work cell, I put it down on my boss's desk. She hadn't arrived yet, but I just put it down there and just started walking back to my car. And then just as I'm exiting the building, she sees me, and she sees me how disheveled I am, and she apparently she had the feeling that I was ready. So, and she was just like, "You're leaving, aren't you?" And I'm just like, "Yeah."
Yes,
So,
yesterday.
yeah, yesterday. So, surprisingly, she was still like she was actually pretty cool about that,
right.
All things considered. But yeah.
You're making people feel a lot better about their work environment right now.
Right.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given, or something that really stands out?
I remember hearing this. I worked in college. I worked for this nonprofit organization, but I remember one of the things that I heard from the executive director. We had this conversation. And he just told me what this sparked about, mainly because I was volunteering in this one department on campus called the Anti-Rape Task Force, where basically on campus you're helping walk people to their cars in the dark. I had like this one interact, and I was sort of the head volunteer for this night shift, and I didn't have a good interaction with one of the staffers on there, because I think one of the staffers was just doing it for their community service. So I think they were kind of half-assing it. I think I took it a little too seriously. But yeah, I think I remember just like yelling at the guy, and just like it almost came to a head and almost started physically fighting.
Nice.
Yeah. But like the next day, the executive director heard about this, and like he wasn't yelling at me necessarily, but he just wanted to just wanted to talk to me about it, just from a leadership standpoint, and talk to me about how to address that for next time. And he just said, it's not what you say, but how you say it. I remember hearing that. I think I was like 19 or 20 hearing that, and it's still like, even now, when I work with runners, whether I'm interacting with them from a coaching standpoint, whether I'm dealing with people from a customer service standpoint, or anything else like that, or even just interacting with friends, it just still comes down to that. I think for myself, I try not to say too much whenever I can, but when I need to say the right thing necessary, I try to just keep it simple and then just shut the fuck up.
Good advice. Who is your celebrity crush?
Oh man, it's so weird. I don't think I have like any real celebrity crushes. Maybe because I'm not just following as much like celebrity news or anything like that. This might. I feel like I'm dating myself as a '90s person, but Bjork. I just know I would play so much Bjork, and I think and I remember seeing her years ago play Cyclones Park, and it was a pretty awesome show. So yeah. So right. I think Bjork.
That's the first Bjork answer we've had to that question. Right. So we love.
It might be the
right.
last.
It could be the first and the last Bjork that we have here. If you could have a drink with one fictional character, who would it be?
I was trying to think of people fictional characters. I thought I would find myself really wanting to hang out with, and the only thing I can really think of is Coach Taylor from Friday Night Lights. Yeah, I think mainly because probably because he was somebody who always stuck to his morals and was way on point. But then when you saw him hanging out, like wanting to settle down, like you'd see him really take a hard drink. Like you'd see him with like a hard glass or two of whiskey, and it'd be like, damn, like I want what he's drinking. So yeah,
he looks like the guy, like a type of guy who can knock back a couple whiskeys and just talk football a little bit around the campfire or something like that.
Oh yeah,
and you know, while you're out with Coach Taylor, I can hang out with Tammy, assuming she'll be free that evening.
Right.
love Mrs. Taylor.
Oh yeah, no, Tammy. Yeah, she was the best.
When you think about success, who comes to mind and why? Besides Coach Taylor.
Oh man, I think of success. I think I just try to think about. I mean, I guess it's funny. I look at some of my some of my friends who I've known from comedy, from the improv world, who are now just starting to like really blow it up, you know, and make their way out into the world on there. So that's been, I think, like pretty amazing, like seeing that. Yeah, and I think I will always watch that and just see how, like, and just always I'm kind of like blown away by that.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because they never gave up. They just kind of like stuck. They always just kept pushing and working persistently. And I think like even if they were tired, they just still kept pushing through and persisting on there. Yeah, I mean, I would kind of start local, like smaller with them on there, and even for those that are still like actively working, I still see a lot of them. Like still, I still will see that like I still get like Facebook events or STEM posting about shows or anything else like that. So it's like wow, you're still doing it. It's like good for you. Yeah, so it's like it's I think like a commitment and dedication to them to like that you're still like finding yourself doing something that you're really loving and enjoying. For sure. So
yeah, the grind is tough in that arena. I imagine takes a long time to become an overnight success in the acting comedic world.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Fill in the blank. I'm not as blank as I used to be.
I am not as fast as I used to be. Oh man. Oh god. Yeah. I think it's the runner. I think it's more the runner mentality. Just that. Like that's the first thing I thought of right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm also not as light as I used to be either. So.
I would imagine both of those answers probably work for most 40-year-olds.
Right. So yeah. So I think that's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, it's funny how like I think I think that pretty much answers it right there.
What's a piece of advice you would give to your 20-year-old self?
I would say probably you maybe like I think to my 20-year-old self, I would probably tell him you may be scared right now, but take a deep breath. You're probably thinking way too hard about things right now, and that's fine, but you'll be okay.
Relax a little bit.
Yeah, I think I know like my 20-year-old self was way too nervous and scared about what he's gonna be doing, and thinking about like questions like what are you gonna see yourself doing in 5 years, and it's like I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. Totally. You know, it's so yeah. What
is something that you tried that you will never ever try again?
Stand up. Nope, not doing that again.
How many times did you do that?
I did that once, and
how'd it go?
And it was like a one-off show. I think I did this one-off show a couple years ago where they were looking for people that had never done stand-up, and they asked me to do it. And even like still like tried prepping the jokes as best as I could on there. It's funny, like when you have to think about like writing these jokes, it's so much harder all of a sudden. Whereas if you're like suddenly just thinking of stuff on the spot, like, and you're not so worried about the tension of it, suddenly like this sounds way funnier like at that moment. But then like suddenly you have a deadline, you have to think of stuff and like write this stuff out, and then suddenly all you're thinking is like, oh, this is crap. oh, this was crap too.
Too many choices in that scenario. When it's the improv, it's like it is what it is, and like you can kind of just turn it into something funny. But when you're writing, it can just go on forever. Like, you can edit yourself to death.
Big time, yeah. And then it's also like, all right, you're given 5 minutes, so it's like
That's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, they just give you that much, so then it's like, all right, I better like think of like the right amount of jokes that I could just say. Maybe slow down how I talk to like take
right.
up the time.
How did it go? How was your set?
It's my sister. I love her to death. She really was more excited about this than I was. And she actually like brought my brother-in-law and my niece, who was like only oh god, so she's like 9, so she was 7.
Did you have to rethink or censor any of your material?
We had to retool a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit. And I think my sister had her put some headphones on, like for anyone that might start like say anything like have any bad words or anything. Right. So I think like the one word she heard was about some like from another comedian about pooping in his pants on the subway. And I think she and of course she found that to be the funniest thing. She thought it was
hysterical, right? That guy's the funniest guy ever.
Right. So but like my sister thought it was like amazing, and I was just like, all right. But yeah, I think it was just going through all that. I thought like afterwards, like, yeah, I'm good. I'm done with that.
So, well, at least you did it, because I feel like that's something everyone should try. I should probably give it a shot one day with my newfound. Just try stuff as a 40-something-year-old dude. That's certainly a good one.
It was always like a curiosity thing, and then sure. and I actually was happy afterwards to know that I got it done. Right. Even if I wasn't happy with all the jokes, I knew at least like I think the first joke I said like it got a good reaction from people. So then I was like, okay. I think I even said out loud, like I think I even said like right there, like, oh, okay, nice.
Right. If you get that first one in, if you don't, I'm sure it can quickly spiral out of control.
Yeah.
What's your go-to karaoke song? Thinking about performing in front of people on a microphone.
Oh man, I've done. Oh man, I have this weird habit of I try not to do the same stuff over and over. Right. So I always try to find like something new I haven't done. But I try to like find something that's like kind of within my own range. Or at least that's something that sounds like melodically like good. So I feel like if there's like if there's like something like a Depeche Mode song in there, or I know like I've done like some Bowie, I'll do that, and and that tends to work pretty well. I remember I think like I actually just did karaoke a few weeks ago at a friend's birthday, and I think I just did like Don't You Forget About Me. And it's funny how I'd never done that song, everyone's gonna know the words.
Crowd pleaser for sure.
Oh, easily. So yeah, I try not to find the ones that kind of like bring the house down, that's something like that shuts everyone down. So right. I find like any place where like people are doing like Pink Floyd, even though I love Pink Floyd, like it's too much of a bummer.
Right, it's not a good karaoke choice when people are out on a Friday night having fun.
Right. Yeah. So yeah.
So you've run a marathon in 17 states so far. Which was your favorite and why?
The timing on this, my favorite marathon experience-wise was running in Boston, which happened
yesterday, right?
Yeah, yesterday. I ran the Boston Marathon in 2006. Now with Boston, you have to qualify for that. You could also run Boston through the charity entries, but aside from the charity entries, you have to earn your way. By qualifying. And at the time, the qualifying times weren't as tough as they are now. In order to get in, I needed to run a marathon finish a marathon in under 3 hours, 10 minutes, which is about a 7:13 minute, averaging a 7:13, 7:14 minute a mile.
Mm-hmm.
I spent like a little over a year training for that. I would run like other marathons, and I would still fall short. And then I think like in July, late July 2005, I ran the San Francisco Marathon, which is not as hilly as you would think. It's still, I mean, it's more like the hilliest part end up being like running across the Golden Gate Bridge, which is like the coolest fucking thing I've ever experienced, especially when like the sun's coming up on there. But I ended up running, as I was running that race, my shoelaces came undone around like mile 14, and like my hands felt like they were injected with Novocaine. So like trying to tie my laces up, just like it took what should normally take like 5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
Took like a full minute. It was the worst, and I like went in full panic mode, and then somehow I was able to do it. But then and then I like ran even as harder as I could, and finished just short of 3 hours 10 minutes, finishing in 3 hours 11 minutes, 50 seconds. So it was. I mean, it was like a but then. But it was also a good sign knowing that I could still run that because I came so close. So then I like found a marathon 3 months later in Niagara Falls, and I ran a 3:08, and I made it.
All right.
So running Boston was for me like the coolest thing because it's the oldest marathon in the world. There's so much history that goes with it, like all these running legends, all these people that these world champion runners that all run this, and also with the fact that like. It's probably one of the very few marathons where you pretty much have to earn your way into this. So to like know that I like was at this place, like I felt like, man, this is the most amazing thing imaginable. And I wanted to make sure also I trained leading up to it to make sure I felt like I earned this wasn't just like a one-off thing. I wanted to feel like I ran my best here. So, and I trained pretty well on there, and I ended up running still to this day like my fastest marathon there. Finished it in 3 hours 5 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah, the weather was like perfect. I mean, like I paced myself really well in the downhills, and then I trained really hard for the hills, Heartbreak Hill especially, and then yeah, it was funny like with Heartbreak, I was like all I kept hearing is about like how much Heartbreak's coming, and then and I just kept pushing and pushing, and then like finally like mile 20 comes, and apparently I had already passed Heartbreak, just completely like, and I still was wondering like it's coming, right? It's like no, dude, it's back there.
You zoned out.
Yeah. So.
Have you ever done any internationally?
I've not done anything internationally yet. The only thing outside of the U.S. has been in Toronto. Where I ran the Scotiabank Toronto Marathon, but that's been it. So that's actually another thing I want to knock off is just doing a marathon in another country. Yeah, so I think that's why I was kind of looking at like places like Reykjavik, or London is like another one. Although running the London Marathon is going to be like super hard to get into for people outside of London. I think you have to have like an actual London residence. So yeah.
What's your response to people out there who say that running is damaging to the body?
Well, I always find like I always hear that when people say that, I always think like, well, how are you doing that? Are you how much are you running? And like how much are you taking? Are you doing all at once on there? I know, I think sometimes like people may make the mistake of going out to doing too much in terms of mileage, or maybe just going out too quick, too hard, or maybe or maybe not giving themselves enough time to rest or recover. I actually just had a runner in one of my classes who started running in this class, and she said she's training for the marathon, but she, aside from like showing up for the classes to run, she had not done any other running. So like the first workout we were doing was this hill workout, and her ankles were hurting. It was like, ugh, okay. It's like, and I think also she felt this nervousness because she didn't want to feel left behind. So I stayed with her. I pulled I had her deliberately slow the pace down because I think sometimes people have this fear that people are going to pass you and you're just going to be all alone by yourself. And yeah, I always think I remember telling her do your own thing. It's more important to focus on you. Don't think about what other people are going to be running. If you have to build this up slowly. This sort of thing never happens overnight. I remember, so I actually started running in 2001, while I was still in college, mainly to burn off a ton of weight I'd gained from beer drinking and eating buffalo wings. And I was just I was actually considered obese, so much that I had to use an inhaler. And one day I couldn't stand it anymore. And I just pulled myself off the couch and I was just I need to do something. Just get the fuck out of this house. Put some shoes on and my shorts and shirt and and decided to just try and go run. I would just tell myself all right, just run for 1 minute.
Right.
That's it. 1 fucking minute. Just do this. And I timed myself, went, and then finally I did it, got through it. Super happy. I was a little out of breath, but I was happy with it. I'm all right, good. Now let's try to run for 2 minutes. And then not the same result. This wasn't the same pace, probably a little bit slower, a lot more tired. Got through it. But then I thought okay, and I realized right there and then okay, this isn't going to happen overnight. This is really going to if I'm going to do anything like this, I really got to slowly build that up. And it was the sort of thing where I knew I had to listen, and I had to sort of take my time on that and do other things, not just run, but do the elliptical. I remember doing other I'd try to get more involved with other cross training activities as well, just to get myself actively moving and losing all that weight. But on the running side, I just remembered just take your time. In college, I saw this track and some people would sprint right by me, and I just thought focus on you. They're running way faster than you, and they may have the endurance, but you need to focus on you because you're the one that's going to be you're riding this thing. So yeah, so enjoy the ride you're in. So.
Glad you made that. Glad you made that decision. It seemed to work out well 20 years later.
Oof, made it this far.
If you won the lottery tomorrow, what are 3 things that you know for sure you would do with the money?
Oh man, I would pay off all my student loans and debts, credit card bills. I would pay off also my family's mortgages and bills. Finally, I'd probably get a new car. I already have I have a Nissan Pathfinder right now that already has 160,000 miles. I'm already due for a new car already. Yeah. So
it's an old girl.
Yeah, she's still hanging in.
Yeah.
So, and then I would take a vacation for a week or two in Japan.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll just chill out there. So yeah.
What would you eat for your last meal?
Oh wow! So it's funny. My first impulse would normally be mac and cheese, of course,
obviously.
But if I was given but if it wasn't mac and cheese and that wasn't there, I feel I would still get a medium rare steak.
You can have both. This is no holds barred here. You can you can slice up some steak, have some mac and cheese, add in some fries, have some appetizers, whatever you're feeling. Man, it's your last time dining.
Well, then I gotta get them both. So yeah.
Any specific kind of steak or steakhouse that you would choose from?
No steakhouse I would choose from or anything like that. Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I mean, maybe I just gotta eat more steak. I feel like a New York sirloin. Yeah, I think I would probably just do that. Keep that. But yeah, just keep it juicy, medium rare, just and then just enjoy the hell out of that.
Is there someone from your past that you feel you owe an apology to?
Whew. Someone from my past. Um, Man, I feel like there's a. I guess that I would say so. I mean, there's this guy Dan, who I used to know from performing in improv. Had a really bad falling out. Uh, yeah, I think like it just kind of went off pretty badly for both of us, and then I think I remember like for a while, like if I saw him, like I would instantly rage and almost want to like just go in fight mode. Uh, so like that need to like want to pull back was like twice as hard.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel like I'd probably would want to just now probably just take it easy. So he's moved on, and I think I've moved on too. So
If you could have personally witnessed one event in history, what would you want to have seen?
I would say I think of the moon landing. Yeah, I would probably say the moon landing. Something about, I mean, just like this incredible moment on there, just to see and experience all that. I mean, I think we've all had our own experiences already, but I feel like I think I would wonder what that'd be like in 1969, just like from not just like from a regular like bystander, but like I guess from NASA, like being on that other side of it, seeing how they felt about it, and then of course being and then on the side of like Neil Armstrong's side as well. So yeah.
Right. I was gonna say, do you want to watch it from the spaceship or the moon, or from a TV like the rest of America?
I'd like to see all sides of it, but yeah, but if I could see it from the astronaut side, hell yeah.
It'd be a pretty cool event. If you could give a TED talk on any subject, what would it be?
Oh man. Oh, I would say, oh man, it's funny. I think I almost feel like I found myself talking more about what consists of a good good skillet of mac and cheese. It's like I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's like I know there are times I get a little too passionate about it, and maybe it's just because the amount of beer I've been drinking at that point, and then I might just get way too into it. Yeah, I don't know. I just like me because I've eaten probably a lot more than I probably should be eating on that, but I feel like I'd probably would do a talk on that. Yeah, and then and if not that, then I'd probably just do a talk about just being the best runner you can be. I would probably just say like just be the best, be the best Binu, be the best Chris you can be.
I have to imagine there haven't been too many mac and cheese based TED talks, so I think there's a space for a niche to be carved out right there by you, and I'm envisioning if book deals following it up, maybe your own show on Viceland or something with like
it might be the tastiest TED talk. So
there you go. There's a whole new division of tasty TED,
right.
Tasty TED talks. What's a skill that you'd like to acquire in the next 40 years?
Oh wow. There's a bunch. I think for me, just wow, car related. I was thinking about my car, and I'm just like something as simple as like just trying to change my tires, like get that done, change the oil on there, just trying to learn to be more self sufficient,
Mm-hmm.
And things like that. Outside of cars, I just want to I want to make sure I'm speaking Spanish fluently. I feel like I'm in a place where I sometimes interact with runners that may not speak English and only want to speak in Spanish. So there's times I found myself like looking for like somebody that could translate. And maybe it'd be nice not to have to worry about finding a translator and just being that person.
Sure.
That could just do that. So, That and just learning how to swim.
You don't know how to swim at all?
The last time I swam, I took a class in high school, and was able to swim like one length of the pool. You had to do the pass. So, and then I I remember like the last time I tried taking a class was like 5 years ago, and like I think it's the running company I was at working with. They offered like free classes, fitness classes, and one of them was a swim class. But what I didn't know was the class is more about building your endurance up and not learning.
Not learning the basics, right?
Right. So like first day I get there and like, all right, we're gonna swim one length. Let's do it. I'm like, what? Huh? Like, and next thing I know, I'm just in full on like flight mode, like panic city, just like splashing nonstop and just trying to remember like instantly like, I think I move my head this way, breathe this way, and then like I think this is how I do it. And like and I'm like I'm seeing like how far I'm going, and I'm like everyone's already reached the end of the pool. I'm still like barely like a quarter of the way there.
Right.
And I'm like, I feel like I've burned myself out already.
Right.
Like, I look at the clock and it's like 4 minutes have passed. And I'm like, oh dear God, there's 56 more minutes of this.
What's that one word quote on my wall?
I know.
Breathe. Right. That's what I got to do here.
Keep swimming.
Breathe. Swimming's tough, man. Actually, so I would, whenever I'm asked this question, if I ever am a guest on my own show, Spanish is certainly one of them, fluently.
Yeah.
And like I can swim, but I want to be really, really good at swimming.
Yeah.
What are you afraid of besides swimming?
I tend to be I'm afraid of. I'm always afraid of failing. But I think we all are. But I think I'm trying to get more used to being okay with failing, which is funny when you're performing, especially with improv. Like you're generally going to be like are supposed to be okay with failing and like just taking that chance and doing more of that. But it doesn't go away as easily as you would like it to. So. Yeah, I'd say like that, and then like just, I think like letting down, I think the people that I love that are closest to me on there. I always worry about that and just not letting them down.
Who's someone that you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
Man, I would see my friend Melanie. I think she'd be pretty good. I think she's going to be turning 40 in August. So, and I think like, and she's she's a hell of a runner, a heck of a running coach, and one hell of a singer too. So,
I love that.
And she probably has a ton of awesome stories on her end as well. So, yeah.
All right, let's get Melanie. If Melanie, when you're listening to this, I'll get in touch. You're on the hook come August. What is a quirk of yours that few people know about?
Oh man, I let's see. I realized that I always do carry like a notebook and a pen with me, even though like I don't think I've found myself like ever feeling the need to like pull it out and like write anything with it.
What was the last thing that you did write in? Like what type of things? An idea?
If I'm writing anything, I'll use the notes function, the notes app on my phone.
Right.
I'll either use that or Evernote. Like rarely do I ever find myself like grabbing my pen or anything like that, and just like it's just like I have this perfectly perfect empty notebook. Like it's just there. Sometimes I'll have a book with me in there too, even though I don't think I've cracked it open. It's like it's kind of folded now, but like and I'm like I think I need to try to get myself like getting more in the habit of trying to read more books. So yeah.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Best concert, I saw Daft Punk at MCU Cyclones Park in 2007 over this that summer, and oh my god, that was fucking incredible. I just remember like just watching that and just like nonstop dancing and just like going through everything on there and just like I think just like when you're so into everything that's happening at that moment, like you never want the party to end. And it just like this felt like the most epic of parties, and I just thought like, and especially with Daft Punk, it was just like, oh my god, this is the fucking most unreal thing imaginable. So yeah.
If you could relive any single day from your past exactly as it was the first time, what day would you choose to experience all over again?
I mean, honestly, like, I may have to think a little further back, but I think right off the top, my 40th, like that was like pretty epic.
What'd you do? Where were you?
So I actually decided for that morning, I was going to plan to run, initially my plan was to run 4 miles, like 4.0 for my 40th.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, that's too easy. Let's up this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
40 miles? No, I don't think I'm there yet.
All right.
I do want to do an ultra at some point. I'll run an ultra marathon, but today might not be the day.
Not on your 40th birthday, right? You got other things to do.
Yeah. And then I could go the metric system route and run 40 kilometers, which is I think close to 24 miles. But I had already ran a marathon 3 weeks ago. And I was still kind of in recovery mode a little bit. So I don't think I want to go that far. But what if, like in the city, I try to run 4 miles in each borough. Like I was off all day, so like aside from like coaching early in the morning, but then I thought like, okay, let me try to run 4 miles in each borough, so that'd be like 20 miles.
Cool.
So, and then on top of that, I would try to run in a park in each borough. So like that morning, I ran 4 miles with my coaching running group in Central Park, and then after that, hopped on the 1 train to Van Cortlandt Park in the Bronx. Ran 4 miles there, and I'd never ran in the Bronx.
Mm-hmm.
Well, aside from the marathon, but like briefly running through that. But I'd never ran in Van Cortlandt at that point, and that was pretty cool doing that. After that, rode the entire 1 train down to the end of the line to hop on the ferry to Staten Island.
Nice.
And then walked a little bit further, got to Silver Lake Park, which I'd never been to there either. Ran 4 miles around there. Then hopped on the ferry all the way back, and then took the train to Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Ran 4 miles through there. And then from there, hopped on the N train to Astoria to Queens, and then ran 4 miles there. At that point, my legs were just already getting tired.
I can imagine. What time of day was it now?
By that point, it's like already like 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Like it's like 5:30, and I had already told some of my I already told some friends earlier that we were gonna meet at a bar in Astoria. I think like another half a mile away from the park. But it was it actually ended up taking a little longer just because like my legs were just so taxed.
Yeah.
At that point, just like not just from the running, but then like all the walking in between and traveling. So yeah, and I wasn't trying to go too fast. It was just more about the mileage.
Of course.
But yeah, I was so tired by that point, and then on top of the 4 miles, like I was texting my friends saying like I was already running late. I was like texting them, I'm on my way, just did this. So like sorry to keep you waiting. They were super cool about it.
They had no choice. It's your 40th birthday.
I did. And then they were there like half a mile away. Ran the last half mile to the bar. I showed up in my running gear, and the first thing I wanted was a glass of water. My friend Louie was there and immediately gave me a shot. I was like,
that can't feel good.
Right? Like, oh, it was awful. Oh man, but I mean, like, yeah, I had the glass of water right away though, and then he gave me the shot. I was like, all right, this is how it starts. But yeah, it was just epic, just because I think like there were so many. I think because I don't think I I planned it kind of late, but then even all things considered, seeing the amount of people that showed up for this was pretty incredible. And I was pretty blown away by that.
Nice.
And I was like, I think I was just so grateful to see everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice. And when was your 40th birthday?
It was March 20th.
All right, so very, very recent. We're not going back too far. Nice.
No, yeah, it was like a month ago. So, yeah.
What is a pet peeve of yours?
Pet peeve? Man, I think there anytime there's always somebody talking way more than they should. Like, I always try not to, like, say too much, or if there's somebody like maybe that still keeps going, it's like, all right, I hope there's a point to this. So, like, it's like I need it's like after a while it's like I need the cliff notes on this. What is this?
Right.
Yeah, I think there's that, and then I'm just thinking like small little things. Whenever I'm walking in the city, just trying to like zoom right by people, like I can't do this. I'm not a sidewalk person. I'm gonna be that one person that's gonna walk on the road, like against traffic.
Right. So slow walkers in the city is always a pain in the
Oh yeah, like it's either like slow walkers or tourists who like stop suddenly and they like especially and they're like, oh hey, what's this? Let's take a photo here. It's like, and then suddenly like people bump into them all over. So yeah.
Right. What's something that all 40-year-olds should go and do or try, like ASAP, like a call to action for our fellow 40-somethings?
Yeah. It's never too late to try something, even even when if you're afraid, as I sometimes am. But I think it's like trying to like, I think there was like a Tim Ferriss quote, where Tim Ferriss said like if there's something you're really fearful or afraid of, that's the thing you should really tackle the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like the worst thing that happens is just knowing you tried it. But I think it's like you should. It always feels better knowing you took that shot. So and never wonder what it would have been like. So yeah,
absolutely. If you could work for any person in the world, who would it be, and what job would you want?
Oh man. Let's see. I was trying to think about this, but I almost like feel like I'm going back to Tim again. I'm going to Tim Ferriss now. I'm just kind of fascinated with like what the stuff he does. I think like where he's always trying to experiment with different things, whether it's like improving productivity or improving ways of improving like your fitness or anything like that. It might also be less that working with him and more just drinking. I think, yeah. So I think just there are times where like he will sometimes post a podcast about him like really hammered, answering questions on there.
Drunk dialing.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Yep.
So drunk podcasting.
Yeah. Have you ever heard him speak about his experience with swimming?
Yeah, he was talking about immersion technique.
Yeah, total immersion. So that might be an avenue for you to check out, because he I believe didn't swim or couldn't swim until he was like 30 years old, and then took this total immersion course, and then within 2 weeks was like, got it. I listened or I read a little bit about it. I didn't actually take the course, but I personally was swimming and I was doing laps in this phase of this portion of my life, and then I read or listened to the podcast that he had with the inventor of it, and I just like took 2 notes from it, and I was like, all right, tomorrow when I'm in the pool, I'm just going to do these 2 things, and like I wasn't tired. Like it changed. It was amazing how 2 like little simple things changed everything. So I would I know swimming's something you want to accomplish, so that might be an avenue to go.
I've heard from other people talk about it, like total immersion. I think I should definitely like really look into that. So yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you.
If you were hosting this podcast, what's a question you would want to ask other 40-year-olds?
Oof. I'm sure it's already been worded another way. If there's something you so desperately want to do, If the world was gonna end, if there's like one thing you so need, like feel like you haven't done but you're looking to do, what would that be? Yeah.
What would your answer to that question be for yourself?
uh, oh man, gun to my head. Swim. Like I feel like I don't know why I think like surviving. So I think I think that might be the only thing I could be thinking about. So yeah, because the world's ending. So
Right, you want to extend it as much as possible. If there's
right.
everything going on around you, you can at least tread water for
Right,
an extra couple minutes.
Look, a body of water. Like,
So we've reached our final question here, and our
Okay.
final question is the same for everyone. You chose a song to play us out of here. What song is it, and why did you select it?
There's a song on here. It's by this group, the Avalanches. They're like a group of DJs from the UK. There's this one really great song called "Because I'm Me." It's just like the vibe on this is just super positive. But no, I think I think it's just very like has a kind of a carefree vibe to it. But I think I think like the person that they're sampling, I think the person singing like I just like is saying at one point, I just want to know what's wrong with me to be falling in love with you, which is just such a cool thing on there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right, I'm not familiar with their work, but I did check the song earlier, and I think people will enjoy it. And I like the idea of the carefree spirit for a podcast such as this.
Yeah, man.
So everyone enjoy. Is it the Avalanches or the Avalanche?
Avalanches. Yep.
The Avalanches. Everyone
Yep.
enjoy it. Thank you, Binu. We've been here a little bit. 40 questions. You knocked it out of the park. I hope you enjoyed. Nothing to be nervous about, right?
Yeah, I know.
Totally,
Awesome.
totally simple. Well, I'm glad you joined us today. Is there? Would you like to share your Instagram or Twitter, anything like that, for people to say hello?
Yeah, totally. They can, if you want to follow me, you can follow me. My running exploits or mac and cheese exploits on Instagram. It's at my last name, Paulose. P as in Peter, A as in Apple, U as an umbrella, L as in Larry, O as in Oscar, S as in Sam, E as in Edward. So Paulose on Instagram. And then my Twitter handle is Binu Paulose, my full name. Even though I think really most of the time I think I just mainly post Instagram links. So yeah.
So Instagram's the spot, everyone. If you want to go say hello, learn some gooey mac and cheese recipes, there you have it. Thank you, man. I appreciate you taking the time today.
Thanks a bunch, man. Thanks for having me here.
Very cool. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you next time on the next episode of Past the 40.